Hey guys, Mark here, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this doesn't work. Let's get open for business here. We've got a few hours for the Redskins take on the Saints in a game that will probably determine a lot about our Cowboys season. Our NFC East is not the powerhouse that it had been in the past. The Eagles have definitely come back down to earth. The Giants, well, they're about to implode with Odell Beckham and Eli Manning. Our Cowboys, boy, we just aren't a well-coached team in my mind. And then we have the Redskins. It may be one of those crazy years that it doesn't take that much to win, and it's more of who just kind of wants it more. Now, the talk, of course, today is maybe what might be the defining moment for the Jason Garrett era, where maybe Jerry Jones finally says enough is enough, or he ends up continuing to back him. We as fans, of course, when we lose, automatically want to fire everybody and aren't sometimes rational. You know, we win, everything's hunky-dory. We lose, get them out of here. They're bums. Whether you're a Jason Garrett fan or not, we're all going to have an opinion on this. And I'm trying to come back down to earth and think about the situation. There is a little to Jason Garrett's side of, you know, let's put it on our defense. Our defense is playing well because when you looked at it, our running game had bogged down. It was actually non-existent. So you could look at Zeke and say maybe he was injured and wasn't the same. The Texans had definitely clamped down on the running game. On the other side of it, you look back at your team, and sometimes you just got to take a risk. Now, NFL Network has a show called The Aftermath, which is a perfect name for it because they've kind of gone through the arguments on both sides of it, and I actually wanted to play this for you guys. And they both make valid points. In the end, well, I'll tell you what I think in the end.
The game-winning field goal, and obviously the talk in Dallas now about Jason Garrett deciding to punt it away on 4th and 1 in Texans territory in overtime.
Yeah, it was a long one. You know, we had a 3rd and 2, and we didn't make much on it, and we just felt like at that point in the game, the way our defense was playing, the idea was to pin him down there. Chris did a great job with the punt. They got the ball on the 10-yard line, and hopefully you make a stop and you win the game coming back the other way with a game-winning field goal.
Obviously, you would like a chance to go for it on 4th and 1, but I don't know if that was the best decision right there.
You have the temperament where on 4th and 1 you feel like you can cash in and make it every single time, right?
For sure, but I mean, I think just with the way our defense was playing today, Coach Garrett wanted to, you know, give him a chance to go out there and make a stop so we can, you know, get a chance to get the ball back.
In case you don't question the coach's decision, defense, I've been playing good all night. I mean, they kept us in the game. A bunch of the game. I mean, from the second quarter, there in the 4th quarter, they gave us a chance all day long. So I mean, coach made the decision to go with the defense.
We just were being outplayed. It's time for risk at that particular time. That's not second guessing, but we were taking some risk too there at certain points in the game.
A time for risks, Jerry Jones said there, if you're unable to understand it. And look, this is why the pro go for it crowd feels pretty good this morning. Cowboys on 4th and 1 since 2016, 18 and 19. That's the highest conversion percentage in the league. And now the Texans have won back-to-back overtime games in kind of 2 different sides of this situation with what happened with Frank Reich and now being more conservative approach, DJ, with Jason Garrett. You agree?
Well, look, this to me comes down to, it's pretty simple. What you believe. Does belief come first and then performance, or does performance come first and then belief? Was it like the Henry Ford thing where they believe you can or you can't, you're right? To me, I just think you say to your team, I believe in you, I have faith in you, and I don't know that the risk was that great with where they were on the field. It's not like you don't get that first down, they're going to line up and kick a game-winning field goal. Frank Reich was on the other side of the 50. So to me, it was different in that scenario. I just don't know that the risk was that great, and I think you pump that belief into your team and say, go get me a yard. That's what we're built to do.
Look, I'm not one of these guys that buys into this analytics that because the
94%.
numbers say you do it or you've been successful this way that you do it. It takes intuition out of the game. It takes feel out of the game. Look, what had Dallas done running the ball that tells you they were going to convert there? If you look at Zeke, What did he have? 54 yards on 20 carries. You take away his long of 14 yards, he had 19 carries for 40 yards. Now let's look at his carries in the fourth quarter and overtime. -4 yards, 2 yards, -1 yard, 4 yards, 0 yards.
Well, maybe just throw it to Dez. Oh, sorry.
You know, that's not going to work.
Well, and you combine what Ezekiel Elliott had, Rod Smith too. The previous 7 carries leading up to that 4th and 1, they had 7 total
But you
yards.
don't have to run that play. There are other plays. There are bootlegs. You have a quarterback who could move. You have.
What are those plays done to show you that it was going to be successful?
We're in an era now where people are taking more risks. Frank Reich did it. Sean McVay did it, which we'll get into on Sunday. Coaches and GMs too are wired more to be less conservative than in previous times in football. Jason Garrett, I don't know about intuition. His intuition should be, my owner keeps sending me signals, and he's done this to me in the past, where he said, I like risks. I want you to go
He
for
likes
it.
victories more than he likes risks.
But no, Jeffrey Lurie did this with Doug Peterson last year. He said, I like it when you go for it on 4th down. I will not be mad at you when you do. And Doug Peterson, responded admirably. If I'm Jason Garrett, just knowing that my owner keeps saying, I want risks, I'm taking risks.
Mike, we all know Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones says one thing at times and does another. So if I'm Jason Garrett, I'm not buying that.
I think
I'm
Jerry
not buying
Jones has
that.
made his career, which has been highly successful, on that premise in business and in football. I think
Taking
Jerry
risks.
Jones likes people with some guts. And Jason Garrett is coaching like a coach from the 1970s right now. It's time to show some guts.
Well, let me ask you this, because we talk about the trust factor. Hey, trust your offensive line that you've developed and you've drafted.
They're
Trust
missing some guys.
trust
I
your
know.
running
I know
back.
Frederick's not there, but still.
Do you also trust your defense, though?
Look, their defense held up. They held up in some of those goal line stands. Guess what?
Not against the
A field goal beats you. A field goal beats you. So, to me, I just think every training camp, Jim, you've been there, every single training camp you go to, everyone I've been a part of, the speech is given by the head coach. Hey, there's going to be a time this year where we need to get a yard. We have to be able to get a yard. Let's go. Let's get our goal line. Let's go fight. Let's go get a yard. I know 54 yards is low. You need 1. Give me 1 yard.
My friend Barry Switzer got eviscerated in 1995 for going for it on 4th down in his own territory in Philly. They lost the game, but he said, listen, I wanted to show my team I believe in you. And to hear them tell it at the time, they responded and came back and won the Super Bowl, partly because of the faith that he showed. So there is an ancillary benefit to saying, I believe in you.
Fear of failure is a pretty incredible thing.
No, you're right. And it's different on the plus side of the 50.
Sean McVay doesn't have it. I know he doesn't have it.
I don't buy that it was
Frank Reich doesn't have it.
Oh.
So there is a fear in Houston, though, that their quarterback is taking too many.
Well, so the question is which side of the fence are you on? I believe you look at it as, I believe in my team. We can do this. If we do it, it goes a long way. I think I would rather try and fail than not try at all and look like a coward. Because to me, Jason Garrett played scared. My question is the team beginning to question that as well? I know when I watch Dak Prescott play, when Dak goes to the huddle, comes back out, he doesn't look as sure, as confident as he does when they're in no huddle. And he's kind of, okay, let's pick what we are doing here. To me, he looks night and day different. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm biased, I don't know. But to me, he doesn't look like he has confidence in them. When you listen to Zeke Elliott into that saying, well, the coach wants to go ahead and, put it on the defensive stuff. As a player, you want to go for it. Even your owner is saying, you got to be aggressive. I think this is one of those moments where you can lose the confidence of your team, where your team totally tones you out. One thing I do know in the NFL, typically coaches have a shelf life of about 5 years. If you're not winning the big one within 5 years, generally speaking, you've had enough time to get your game plan together, your system in order, to get your kind of guys and end up creating that opportunity. After about 5 years of not being really successful, the players tune you out. And you need to make a change for a multitude of reasons, a different attitude, a different perspective, to get a bump, if nothing else. Sometimes you have a coach who is too player friendly, and you need a disciplinarian to go to the other opposite end of the spectrum. Sometimes you have a guy who's a little too, disciplinarian, and you need to go to a guy who's more player-centered, because then the players respond. They respect them. Take a look at our defense. What's terrible about this loss is the fact that our defense, which is 6th in scoring defense, only gave up 19 points. And when you think about what Deshaun Watson as well as Hopkins were doing, it's amazing. You looked at Jeff Heath make a play on the goal line that literally changed the complexion of the game before the half. And then Jalen Smith running his ass off to meet Deshaun Watson to deny him. You looked at a defense that has literally changed their mojo completely with basically the same players, from Byron Jones being considered a bust to being one of the better corners in football, from a team that just 5 years ago was the worst historically bad defense in football. But the difference from last year's defense, one, some depth, and two, a coaching change to Chris Richard. Chris Richard, to me, has instilled confidence, a belief, and a leader that people will follow. I don't feel that we have that on offense. Who would you take, a Chris Richard or Scott Linehan, if you were a player? And that's what we're ultimately talking about. Sometimes it's beyond just the X's and O's. Sometimes it's about being a leader with a guy who shows no fear going into battle. If you're worried about your leader pissing down their leg, if you're the general, the colonel, the sergeant in front of you, if you're worried about him being scared, I'm not going to exactly be that confident about what I'm doing. And to me, Jason Garrett and his crew don't instill that belief in the team, that he believes what he's doing is going to be successful, that he believes that we're going to win, that he believes that we've got it together. That's why, in my mind, this needs to be the pivotal moment. This needs to be that battle cry of change. We've done it for a long time the same way. And I know a lot of people say, well, you don't want to do it during the season. Why not? Why not? The sooner you recognize the problem and start working on a solution, the more you have to save. We'll definitely be talking tonight during our live stream. We got a lot to talk about. I want to get your thoughts and your opinions on this. Is Jason Garrett right to go ahead and think my team, my offense just doesn't have it right now, and let's hope our defense can save us one more time? Or should he have said, I believe in you guys. I know you can do it. And I'm going to put everything I have on the line because I believe in you. To me, it should be the latter, a true leader. I'm Mark Holmes, and I hate Mondays like this, but I'm glad that I at least have you guys to share it with. I will see you tonight.